Coming up, a lengthy preliminary hearing ends with the judge deciding whether Larry Miliete will face trial for the murder of his wife, Maya. We're in court.
Promises were made, but were they kept? Families demand answers for in-custody deaths.
A new fiber internet provider launches services in the South Bay. We're working for you.
How much is too much when it comes to tipping? An etiquette expert breaks it all down.
And day one of the Farmers Insurance Open. CBS 8 News live at 6 starts now.
Larry Miliete's wife, Maya, disappeared more than 2 years ago. Now he'll stand trial for her murder. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. The judge's ruling came down after a 10-day preliminary hearing. CBS 8's David Gottfredson was inside the courtroom when both sides gave closing arguments.
There is probable cause to believe that the offenses charged in counts 1 and 2 have been committed and that the defendant is guilty thereof.
No reaction from Larry Miliete as Judge Dwayne Mooring ruled the father of 3 can be tried on murder charges in the death of his still missing wife, Maya Miliete.
It is therefore ordered that the defendant be bound over for further proceedings in the Superior Court.
Prosecutors say Larry Miliete murdered his wife on the evening of January 7th, 2021, the same day Maya made an appointment with a divorce attorney. They allege Larry tracked Maya's movements and hired spellcasters to hurt and incapacitate her. One of the strangest moments of the entire hearing came Wednesday morning when, on cross-examination, Larry's defense attorney actually asked the DA investigator if the spells worked.
His requests of harm were documented and sent to the individual requesting their services to perform rituals to have those events come true. Yes, that's.
Did they come true?
Well.
Then came closing arguments.
The only person who had a motive, who spoke of the desire to hurt her, is the defendant.
Deputy District Attorney Christy Bowles argued there is no evidence to support the notion that Maya would abandon her kids.
May Millette did not just fall off the face of the earth. She lived for and adored her children. She would not and did not leave voluntarily.
The defense's closing argument pointed the finger back at Maya.
Mr. Milete didn't start the problem. It is Miss Milete who started the problem because of her relationship and her affair.
Defense attorney Bonita Martinez blamed Maya for the failure of the marriage and insisted no body, no murder.
He can tell you he loves his wife very much, and he did not kill her.
After the hearing, Maya's sister, Mary Chris Droulet, spoke to reporters.
This is still not the end. We need to bring our sister home. So I'm still here in the front of the camera asking the public's help. Please, with all your help, we can bring my sister back home.
Larry Miliete was rearraigned today and pleaded not guilty to 1 count of murder and 1 count of possession of an illegal assault rifle. The case will now be transferred down to Chula Vista Court, and the next hearing is set for March 22nd.
David, when is the trial actually set to start, and will it be the same judge on the bench for that trial?
A tentative trial date was set for September 14th, but that could be continued and delayed. The judge said he may be selected for the trial, but it's also possible a different judge will be selected down in Chula Vista.
After a long preliminary hearing, now we wait for the trial. David Gottfredson reporting for us. Thanks, David. San Diego police are looking for a man they say tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl in the Carmel Mountain Ranch area yesterday. This is a sketch police released just less than an hour ago. The Poway Unified School District sent out a note to parents today saying it happened near Shoal Creek Drive around 2 in the afternoon. Police say the man approached the girl when she was waiting for her mother and told her to follow him. But when she didn't, he grabbed her. The girl broke free and ran to another family for help. Police say the man was about 5'11" and was wearing a ski mask and dark clothes. And authorities need your help finding this man. They say he tried to rob a Bank of America branch on East 8th Street in National City last Wednesday afternoon. Investigators say he gave a teller a demand note but ran away when the teller did not give him any money. He's described as Hispanic, about 6 feet tall, with a tall, slender build, short dark hair, a goatee, and a mole on his left cheek. As you can see in the photos, he was last seen wearing a Puma baseball cap, a black puffy jacket, and black pants. If you have any information, please call the local FBI office or Crime Stoppers at 888-580-8477.
Vice President Kamala Harris is back here in her home state of California tonight to meet with victims' families after 3 shootings over 3 days. As Danya Backus reports, this comes as one of the accused shooters made his first court appearance today.
66-year-old Half Moon Bay shooting suspect Chun-Li Zhao did not speak and tried to hide his face during his arraignment Wednesday afternoon. He's charged with 7 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder along with weapons violations.
The penalty if convicted of all the charges would be life without parole or death.
Zhao did not enter a plea and is being held without bail. 2 attorneys were appointed to represent him. Police say the suspect opened fire on former co-workers at 2 mushroom farms south of San Francisco Monday afternoon.
We do have a feeling on the motive at this point based on what he has told us. I'm not going into that.
The 5 men and 2 women killed ranged in age from 43 to 74. All but one of the victims have been identified. As the memorial for the 11 victims of Saturday's Monterey Park shooting continues to grow, police say because the suspect is dead, we may never know the motive. A man who once lived on the suspect's property says he's not surprised his former landlord allegedly resorted to violence.
First thing, I was shocked. And the next thing, I would say, this thing would happen sooner or later.
The man, who asked Los Angeles station KCAL News not to report his name, said he lived for 7 years on the suspect's property until 2014. He said the suspect vented his grievances during their nearly daily conversations.
For example, if last night he was not happy in the dance studio, he would complain to me, who was not nice to me.
The tenant says he never saw his landlord with any firearms. Danya Backus, CBS News, Monterey Park, California.
New tonight, surveillance video obtained by the Associated Press from Alhambra shows the heroic efforts to disarm the Monterey Park shooter after he showed up at a second ballroom late Saturday night. You see right here, 26-year-old Brandon Tsai wrestling a modified 9mm submachine gun. That's that style of weapon the shooter was holding, away from the man that is now identified by police as Hu Can Tran. Tsai was able to get that gun away from Tran before Tran hurt anyone at this location. Tsai says at the time he didn't even know about the deadly mass shooting that had just happened in Monterey Park.
On the heels of all that, the question tonight is how state leaders plan to respond to these shootings.
Our political reporter Morgan Reiner spent the day with state Senate Republicans and asked them about addressing gun violence when they introduced their list of legislative priorities earlier today.
Republicans did list crime as a top priority, but they spoke more about early releases, fentanyl, human trafficking. So I did ask them specifically if they think more needs to be done to address mass shootings and gun violence. Overall, though, today, Republicans are just hoping that Democrats are willing to work with them on some of the state's biggest issues like housing and homelessness.
No one should have to go through what Brett Bowman has.
My wife, my children's mother, committed suicide in 2009. A couple years later, I lost my son. He was hit and killed crossing the street in a crosswalk.
Depression took over, and that's when the drinking started.
Started using meth, and it was downhill from there. I lost my job in 2 months, out of a place to live because I couldn't pay rent. My children were gone. They were taken.
He was homeless for 2 years, and he said handouts made it easier.
Nobody really wants to seek treatment when it's too easy to stay on the street. There's too many free programs, too much free bedding, free clothing, free food.
Said it's the accountability that made him favor the Republican plan and why he stood next to them as they introduced their legislative priorities for the 2023 session.
Our state is on an unsustainable path as it is right now. Homelessness is spiraling out of control. Public safety is anything but that. The cost of living in this state is too damn high.
Republican caucus leader San Diego Senator Brian Jones walked through their plans. Affordability.
We are proposing an increase to the state renter's tax credit, working to streamline housing construction by reforming CEQA.
CEQA is the environmental regulations that can delay projects by years. Crime.
Human trafficking.
or dealing fentanyl to our school children are not held fully accountable for their actions. That's why we are introducing a measure to ensure the punishment matches the severity and seriousness of these two issues.
With back-to-back mass shootings, I asked if they think more needs to be done to address gun violence, in addition to mental health.
To make possession with a ghost gun a felony. Well, we presented that on the floor of the Senate, and every single one of our Democratic colleagues voted against that.
I reached out to Pro Tem Senator Toni Atkins to respond to what Republicans had to say, but I was told she was too busy to give me a statement today. But when it comes to the homeless crisis and accountability, Governor Gavin Newsom himself has said that there wasn't any for far too long. It's why he held back funding from local cities until they came up with a better plan to address the crisis. It's why he came up with his Care Corps proposal to address mental health in the homeless population. It's something that Brett himself told me that he does like.
Thanks, Morgan. There is help on the way for people who are still cleaning up from significant storm damage now that county supervisors unanimously ratified an emergency declaration. San Diego County suffered more than $3 million in damage to roads and buildings, according to a county staff report. The declaration allows county leaders to seek state and federal money. This comes after President Biden proclaimed a state of emergency for California. He also declared an emergency for 3 specific counties, but San Diego County was not included.
More than 30 canine teams are training at the Del Mar Fairgrounds this week. They're learning how to sniff out explosives. The free 3-day training started today, put on by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Local, state, and federal agencies will get certified under the National Odor Recognition Training and Testing Program. That includes seminars and practical exercises to recognize explosives.
The Farmers Insurance Open teed off today at Torrey Pines Golf Course. 156 golfers are competing for an $8.7 million purse.
Our Jake Ariani's here early tonight with some of the day one highlights. And I mean, one highlight was just beautiful out there.
The weather.
It always is.
Yeah.
You never lose that one. I think people were surprised by how gettable the course was today. Normally you come out and Torrey Pines is like impossible to play on day one or really throughout the whole tournament. But really scores were gettable today. And aside from maybe opening day, this is probably my favorite annual sporting event here in San Diego because, again, you get to show off this incredible city and, of course, watch the best golfers in the world. You really can't beat that. The shot of round one comes from Kyle Westmoreland, the only graduate ever from the Air Force Academy to play on tour, and he does that. An ace on 16. He finished 2 under on the South Course. Not bad at all. John Rahm, the heavy favorite coming in. He did not have a very good day. His driver gets the brunt of the frustration after his tee shot on 18. Rahm would finish 1 over, tied for 116th. Xander Schauffele shows us how it's done here on his 11th hole of the day. Chips in on 2 to get to 1 under, although he had a roller coaster back 9, finished at even par. It's a trio of leaders after day one. Sam Ryder, Aaron Rai, and this guy, Brent Grant. All 3 of them played the North Course. They're at 8 under, and they hold a 1-shot advantage on the field.
How aware were you of where you stood in the round?
I mean, when I saw the scoreboard, I thought it was. I mean, usually 6, 7, 8, 9 under is where these guys end up being after day one on North. So I figured I'd be somewhere up around there. Obviously, Sam played great, and there's plenty of good rounds out there, and it's just day one, so it's a good start.
I know he says he figured he'd be up there. That's not the trio of leaders I think most people saw coming after round one, but hey.
This is day one.
It is. We got a long way to go, but a solid day one.
Very nice.
Good. A lot of fun out there. We'll check in with Marcus, who was there, coming up a little later in the show.
All right. I look forward to more on that. Thanks, Jake. Still ahead, a new fiber internet provider is promising faster service to the South Bay and may soon move into your area.
Plus, angry and grieving families are demanding answers at sheriff's headquarters over in-custody deaths.
Taking a look at our current conditions out there, we're at 60 degrees for downtown. Also still talking about some dry air. We're going even drier by tomorrow with the return of Santa Ana winds. All those details are coming up.
Members of both parties are demanding answers after another set of classified documents were found, this time at the home of former Vice President Mike Pence. I'm Nicole D'Antonio on Capitol Hill with the fallout of the latest discovery.